How is it going?
Oh, hi, Nicholas. It's a great day today, isn't it? Lovely and hot. Just been out with my dogs for a nice long walk.
It's beautiful.
And
It's beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry, go on. Yeah.
it's really nice to have a chat with you today. Been looking forward to it all week.
Thank you. Likewise. Great to have you on. So,
So,
whereabouts, I was going to say, whereabouts are you based?
okay, so I'm in the UK and I live in an area called the Cotswolds. Are you in the UK?
I'm in the UK. I'm in Hertfordshire in the UK. Yeah.
Oh, that's not so far away.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So, tell me, about your journey, how you woke up and, and your, your journey into the Great Awakening with all this COVID and the lockdowns and everything.
Okay, so I've actually been a spiritual teacher for about 15 years, but I started to wake up probably around the year 2000, I would say,
Wow.
after I had a baby and lots of different things started happening. I just started questioning life really and what is it all about. And I came across somebody that was a healer,
Hmm.
and it did some healing on me, and it just kind of had a really profound effect. And it was kind of like somebody switching on a key in your mind, and you suddenly started to think about life in a completely different way. And from that point forward, what happens is that life just seems to send you signs and people at the appropriate time. So before this all happened this year with COVID, I had actually been teaching my students for some time about something called ascension, which is a spiritual journey towards something called the golden age. And I think more and more people have been kind of hearing this golden age since the lockdown, especially if they've been researching Nisara and Jasara, which is hopefully what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. We're right now. Apparently, we're in the aquarium age, and we are going into. Sorry, the
Yeah,
Piscean age.
the
Sorry,
Aquarius. We're going into the Aquarius age.
that's it. Yeah.
So that's right. We were in Pisces
Hmm.
and in something called the Aquarius age. And if you think about Aquarius, they're very forward-thinking people and they're very peaceful-thinking people. They think about humanity. That they sort of stand for humanitarian projects. So it's very fitting that at this time called the Great Awakening, that we've moved into the age of Aquarius, like you said.
Hmm. Yeah. So the Aquarian age is the golden age or the quantum age, and you're right. It's about prosperity, forgiveness, spirituality, high level of consciousness, being aware. Um, it's more of a five-dimensional, whereas there's a three-dimensional. It's more based on, money, material things, and ego and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's a great thing. We're definitely evolving as human beings, and I think it's a great time to be alive, to having experienced this transition into this new age.
So that's exactly right. And this is how I teach people in my spiritual groups. I teach them that everything is a level of consciousness, or another way to describe it is vibration, because everything is energy. And as the planet is now raising its consciousness or vibration, what happens is, because we're all energetic beings, we all start to have a different sense of ourselves and what's going on around us as well. And so people that have traditionally been what we call asleep, they will be jolted into this new sort of perspective, because as the planet changes its vibration, so do we change our vibration. And so I train people that it's kind of like being on a mountain. I call it the spiritual mountain. And when you're asleep, you're kind of at the bottom of the mountain and you're with all the crowd. And so you can't really see very far because there's like so many people, and you can't really see what's going on over there. But as you start to progress with your awakening and your spiritual progression, then you go up the mountain, and as you reach different levels, you look out, and then you can see things from a very different perspective, and you can see what's ahead, and you feel more calm, and you understand life in a different way. And then the other people who are below, they start to follow up behind you, and you all go up together until you eventually reach the top, which is the golden age, which is the 5th dimension.
Yeah, and it sounds amazing. I mean, it feels like that level that you're talking sounds so peaceful. It sounds, so great, and when you know the truth and you start to be aware of the truth, you start to question your existence as a human being, and you have and then your purpose or your path changes, and right now where some people are asleep, and like my family, for instance, they're sitting right next to me, and when I look at them, it feels like they're very, very far away from me.
It's it's a big problem that I hear a lot from not just my students, but also my followers.
Mm.
I have problems with my own family.
Yeah.
Even my very close family, they, even yesterday we were having very strong debates about the child trafficking, and I was being told if it was true it would be on the BBC, it would be on the news, and people still don't really understand that these things are not on the news, and that's the whole point. It's all been hidden from us. And as you start to awaken, you start to sense this. You start to sense, like you were saying, that there's something greater than what we're aware of, both on the physical plane and on the spiritual plane.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, often people come to me because they've got to that point in their life, even before COVID, where they're saying, I just feel lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what life is all about. And they've kind of hit this point where they might have their house and their car, and they may have achieved great things in their career, but they still have that kind of emptiness. So the peace that you were talking about, that's the thing that really, at the end of the day, if you don't have that essential inner peace, then any kind of possessions or career or house or anything will not ever really fulfill you.
Absolutely.
It's okay to have all those wonderful things, but if inside of you don't have that kind of intrinsic feeling of being at peace or being healed, you'll always be searching for something outside of yourself.
Absolutely. You said something as well about BBC. People think, and you're right, a lot of people think, well, if it was true, why isn't it on the BBC? And what they fail to acknowledge is that Jimmy Savile was protected. The other day I spoke to my family, and I said that Donald J. Trump has reduced the pharmaceutical prescription drugs by 50% to 80%. And they had no clue about it at all because it's not on the mainstream media. It's not on the BBC. They even try to suppress all the peace deals, especially the BBC. They're very, very biased. The more mainstream it is, the more biased it is. And that's when you realize, well, they're not being quite honest. They only publish what fits their narrative. And if it doesn't fit their narrative, then they won't publish it because they have an agenda of their own. Okay, now the person that owns the mainstream media, or the group of people that own the mainstream media, they have a lot of power. You control the world. And you need to think, people need to think outside of that box, because power corrupts, So definitely, I 100% agree with you. And also, the higher you go in consciousness and the more open-minded you are, definitely, I feel that there's definitely a sense of peace in there as well.
Yes, because when you start not looking at life from a material point of view, and you start looking at it from an internal point of view, then you find that a lot of things that you were attached to previously, they no longer bring you any happiness in the same way. And so it's not actually as difficult as people might think to make the transition. And it doesn't mean you have to give up your nice things. People think that if you start being more spiritual, you have to give up your nice house or your nice car. And that's not the case at all. You're allowed to have as many nice things as you want. But if your happiness is only based on the fact that you do have a nice car, then it's very unsteady. And as soon as something in life happens, which it always will, you know, maybe you lose your job or you get sick or something like COVID comes along. And if your happiness has always been tied into having a nice first car, which now you have to give back to the lease company, then you're going to suddenly find yourself in a very deep, depressed, despondent place. But if you have that spiritual strength inside of you, then you kind of see the world from a very different perspective and you get your strength from a different place. And so it doesn't matter if you lose your house and your car and all your money, because when you have that internal position of peace, you just know that you're going to be looked after. And it's quite difficult to explain it until it happens to you. And when it does happen to you, it's kind of like a very profound experience. And it's often one that you can't necessarily put into words.
I love how you've just put all of that into really well perspective. I like that. It's amazing. Basically what it is you're depending your happiness not on material things. You've chosen to depend your happiness on other things that are more important, to do with love and your company that you're around and helping others and seeing people do well. You know, not on cars, because that comes from ego or your property or your bank account. Yeah, we can have lovely things. Yes, we can enjoy life. At the end of the day, we're on a spiritual plane on a materialistic world that we live in until we die and we're just spirits. So yes, we should be able to enjoy those great things, but that doesn't mean that we cannot be humanitarian at the same time and share those lovely, great things with others to enjoy with us.
Yes, and I think this is why I wanted to talk to you today about this whole idea with Nasara, because I've been trying to introduce it to my spiritual students, and I'm no expert by any means, because it's to do with money and accounting and things like that. It actually can get quite confusing. So I have a few questions here today, which I hope you don't mind me asking.
No, please, fire away.
And obviously, if there's anything here that you aren't able to answer, then we totally understand, because we've just literally thrown a few things together for you today. So I hope you don't mind. So I wondered if, first of all, you could tell my audience what is the difference and what's the difference between Jasara and Nasara, and what does it stand for?
So Nesara, okay, it stands for National Economic Security and Recovery Act. It's a legislation that was passed in the year 2000. It was signed by Bill Clinton. Now, many would think, why would Bill Clinton sign it if he's part of that group? Well, the military were the ones who rushed into the White House in the year 2000, and they forced Bill Clinton to sign the legislation because it's the people's interest and it's constitutional. Now, Nasara was supposed to be passed. It was supposed to be announced, should I say, in the morning of 9/11, September 9/11. And that's why the Twin Towers were attacked, to destroy the computer systems, the banking computer systems. Now, Jesara means exactly the same as Nesara, but instead of the N, which means national, G stands for global. Now, the best way to think about it is we have a system where we're stuck in the old system, if you like, the Piscean system, which isn't a people system. It's a globalist system, whereas they control the money, they manipulate the stocks and the market. We're in debt, they lend us money, we owe them debt, and the more they print, the more in debt we are, and we're a slave to them. So we owe all this debt to the people, to not the people, to the Rothschild, if you like, the people that own the Federal Reserve Bank, which isn't governmental based. It's, you know, privately owned by this, corrupt people. So the Nasara Jasara will be run on more of a quantum system, which is artificial intelligence. Nobody would be there to artificially to manipulate the numbers like they do today with the stock market. It's global. So if you think Donald Trump's agenda is pushing Nasara Jasara, taking down the globalists. And because the globalists control the globe, think World Health Organization, think the Federal Reserve Bank. People say, oh, the Federal Reserve Bank's in America. How does that affect us in the UK or in Europe or Australia? Well, it does, because all of our currencies, it should be backed up by gold and silver, but it's not. It was in 1971, but it's not after that. It's backed up by the dollar, by the Federal Reserve Bank. The dollar is the Federal Reserve Bank. So they lend money, they print and lend money to all of the governments around the world. We all have a central bank. Every country has a central bank. Their boss, so for an example, the Central Bank of England over here, the Bank of England, their boss, or they're under an umbrella of the Federal Reserve in the United States, because they borrow money from them. They print out the money. Again, the dollar is the world's reserve, is the world reserve currency of the world, if you like. You know.
So what I've been hearing is that Donald Trump is trying to roll this out in the USA and to other countries around the world. I understand that something like 280 countries are signed up to this Nasara Jasara, and that whilst we're all in lockdown from this virus, that they've been rolling these plans out behind the scenes. And so we've been hearing that some people have already been getting their debts relieved and released. In fact, I had somebody just yesterday, a lady from Alberta in Canada, said that she'd had her student loan cleared, and she sent me the evidence of it. And the two loans, one was for $8,000 and the other one was for $13,000, and that's been cleared. And I have heard other cases of that. And so my students are very excited to know, are they going to have their loans and credit cards and overdrafts and things like this released? And have you heard of anything happening like that? And when can we kind of expect to see that rolling out in the UK in a bigger way?
I think it's going to happen gradually. I think it's going to happen gradually over months or maybe a year or so. This is happening because of the fiat system that we're on, due to illegal banking activities. So when something is illegal, it has to be all cancelled out or cleared out, and that's what's happening with the debts. Some people say that, my student's gone, well, is my car going to go? Is my mortgage going to go? Is it all debt? Yeah, it is all debt, because all the money that we borrow is in the same system. It comes from the same system, comes from the same bank that prints money, the Federal Reserve Bank, the currency that is backed up by all of the currencies in the world. It's going to happen globally. We don't know an exact time. It's happened at random. I know people that have had their debts cleared. A few people in the UK, a few people in Spain. I also know someone in California. In fact, Pimpy from Pimpy Investment Group. Well, actually, he has had his loan, and I know him personally, and he has had his debt cleared. His student loan, 150,000.
Wow, that's incredible. That's life-changing, isn't it? So then the next question people are going to ask is, where is the money coming from? If we're not going to be paying our taxes anymore on our income, say, Where is all this money coming from?
The way you got to look at it is, a lot of people think we need to pay our taxes because the government needs the money to fix this or to fix that. That's what
Yeah,
people think. What
yeah,
people don't know is that they make so much money from us because of corruption that if we were to stop paying taxes, they would still have so much money um, there to do what they need to do. And the whole point of taxes and raising our taxes and charging us stamp duties on our mortgages and trying to, charge us left, right, and center is not because they need the money. It's to make us suffer so they can control us. They have loads of money. They make 150 billion a year from human trafficking. And because that's corrupt and unconstitutional, crimes against humanity, they're money laundering that money. So there is so much money. We pay VAT on everything, on computers. We pay it on drinks, on shower gel, toilet roll, everything we buy, food, you name it. So that's value added tax. That's what VAT stands for. So they already get their taxes from there. So there is plenty of money. I think there is more money, after doing a lot of research, that everybody in this world can be a billionaire. Everybody, there's enough money for everyone to be a billionaire.
Wow, that's just incredible to think that, isn't it, really? And when we've been living such difficult lives where we work so many hours every week, and at the end of the week, all the money just goes straight back out on food and utilities and just getting by, really. And people just work harder and harder to get no further forward. And then their whole life they're doing that. And, then when they do retire, if there's any pension fund left, they're lucky. And if not, they're then very poor on a government pension. And it just seems that life wasn't created. The creator didn't create life so that we live constantly in this pain cycle.
Exactly.
Life is supposed to be enjoyed. And we're supposed to be relaxed and peaceful, and not constantly in the rat race.
I mean, yes, we do need money. Yes, we need to be doing something. And, it's a tool, but there's so much of it that it shouldn't be the focus. It shouldn't be the struggle. The focus should be on, so say we have the money, we've got that there, we can use it, we don't have to stress. And the
Yeah,
focus should be loving each other. It should be helping each other. It should be doing what God wants us to do, whether you're Muslim or a Christian or a Buddhism or whatever you are. That it's all about love. That
yeah.
is the ultimate goal, and that's what I believe.
And that is the thing that I am so excited about when I hear about the quantum financial system, which is what is going to come from Nisara and Jasara. Because the idea that we will have enough of everything, all of us, that our time will be more free, and that we'll be able to help other people and have these more, like he said, a humanitarian lifestyle. To me, that's just like a utopia. That's just everything that all my life I've been hoping would happen.
Mm.
And yeah, and it's just right there now at our fingertips. It's so very exciting. Every day I wake up and I'm waiting for the next thing that's going to happen. Some other questions that I've been asked to ask you today are, somebody was saying about the income tax that's already been paid to date. Will people get all that income tax back?
I heard that lots of people will receive many rebates back for illegal. So basically compensation. So not
Wow.
only our debts will be cleared according to the quantum financial system, but there's going to be a lot of funds that are going to be released that were kept into the trustees of the corrupt. And once they're released, they'll be distributed for humanitarian purposes. We'll receive compensation for all the taxes and interest and debts that we've paid that were illegal. Basically, any kind of payment that we've paid that was illegal, unnecessary corruption will get paid that back, including pensions, not just income tax, but including pensions, including vast interest rates that we've had to pay back as well. So it's all about recovery. Like I said, it's Recovery Act, NASARA. So it's National Economic Security and Recovery Act. So that's what we are doing. We are looking to recover.
So can I then ask you the question that pops into my mind when I've been listening to your channel, when you're talking about the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong, and I think I even sent you a question about what was a Zim. I think you told me it was Zimbabwe currency.
Zimbabwe, yeah.
Why do we need to have, and I have bought some dinar and some dong,
Right.
but I think I just did it for fun, really, because I don't really know that, you know, what it's going to be worth, or, you know, I just had a little go because I've been listening to your channel. But why would we need to have those currencies if, say, we're going to get a big refund on everything from the past, and then going forward we're going to have no taxation?
So there's two reasons. First of all, there's going to be the biggest wealth transfer. There needs to be a large amount of money that goes into the right people, like us, for an example, and many others like us who are aware, who have a high consciousness and vibration, who will receive this money and contribute it back into society in a good way, because we will need to, there will be a time where we would need to do that once the corrupt is out of the way. The reason why that will happen is because the other reason is their currencies have currency manipulators on them because of corruption. So once they will be lifted, and once their currencies will be backed by the gold, their currencies will have to rise into playing field with the dollar. It would have to be, all the currencies will be in level playing field, like President Trump has said. And again, that's to compete, to trade fairly and to compete fairly. So not everybody will be rich. For an example, people that don't know about this, they will be much well off. Everybody will be comfortable. Nobody will have financial struggles. Yes, we will still have to work, but so they will be in a position where they will receive rebates, compensation. They will have a higher salary, because again, you get paid £9 an hour here, or £8 an hour, but you hire a machine and you hire it for £200 an hour. And this is the thing, you know, a machine is not worth more than a human being. We have our talents. We're human beings. We're energy, you know, so it should be the other way around. So yeah, humanity will be better off. There'll be more money in people's pockets, but the wealth transfer, like the currencies, will be to put back into the community on a grand scale, where we can invest into med beds and other 6,000 patents that are going to be released because they were suppressed, but they were suppressed from us by the corrupt. So they will be released, and we'll be able to buy them and put it into society so people could use.
So yeah, I had some questions about the med beds. People were wondering if you knew when those might, I suppose this is probably a question you can't answer, but they were asking me, would people's medical bills be released? Obviously that would not be in our country, in the UK, but in places like the USA, where people have to pay for their care, for example, would those medical bills also be reversed? And so would they get free healthcare? And, you know, do we know, are these med beds in production? Are they on order? Have they been released anywhere yet?
I couldn't answer that because I don't know. I'm guessing no, not yet. But I do know they've existed for many years, and they've been used by the elites. That's why you see the royal family, they're very old and they look very well.
Yeah.
But all of us are dying here. We can't get a doctor's appointment, you know. Yeah, they are around. The technology that's around, that's been suppressed from us, they're very advanced, and you give a sample of your DNA, you give a sample of your blood, and it's a little bit like Star Trek. Imagine a bed, and you lie down, a glass comes over you, and a UV light maps your body from the inside and outside, and the technology, the medbed technology tells you what's wrong with your body, if it needs a new liver, if it needs a new hand, if it needs to cure cancer, and it all uses your blood, your own DNA, and it rejuvenates it, or it creates it using your DNA. So this is really advanced technology that we've been suppressed by because of the corrupt. And when Donald Trump was talking about creating a disinfectant and using a UV light, do you remember he mentioned the UV light?
Yes.
Well, he was giving us little drops and codes, and people thought he was stupid. Mainstream media made out he was completely stupid, because when he starts exposing, that's when they go crazy. That's when they go ape crap, you know, and they start saying he's unfit. We don't know what he's talking about. He's crazy. So he gives us little drops for us to do the research, and for those who are awake, of course, and then we can spread truth, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, when he did talk about, you know, the what you were talking about with the light and things and the bleach, and it was all taken out of context, I knew immediately that he was talking about light and sound healing.
Hmm.
Um, but obviously the worldwide press just went to town on that, and you know, obviously did what they normally do with Donald Trump, which is just laugh at everything, or try to laugh at everything that he's saying. But for those of us that follow his speeches and we listen closely to what he's saying, and we don't listen to mainstream media, you can pick out the way that he's trying to inform us about the good things that are coming. So it's very
Absolutely.
important, isn't it, to listen to him unedited, not listen through, say, CNN or Fox or somebody like that, because they do have a way of editing things so that it doesn't sound anything like the original message. So it's very important not to listen to those types of broadcasts, and you mentioned that earlier on.
I'll give you an example just before you move on to the next one. You're very right when you say that they twist things as well, even if they don't edit, because you can edit now, and it's quite dangerous what they can do. They can edit pictures. There was a picture of him and Jeffrey Epstein cuddling, but then when I saw the real picture, it was him and his daughter. The
I
other
saw
thing,
that.
yeah, the other
Yeah,
thing was when he abolished payroll tax for the Americans of up to £100,000, we can see that he's not trying to make his friends rich, like people say. This is up to £100,000 salary, middle class people, and under that benefit from this tax relief. So when this came out, the mainstream media twisted it and said, "Oh, a time like this in COVID, he's stopping the taxes from going to research for medical research and stuff like that." And then people who were asleep still said, "Oh, what an idiot," do you know what I mean? And it just shows how powerful the media is,
it
you know,
really does. Yeah.
and yeah, it's just terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite hard work for people like us to try and get the message out, because as soon as we say anything, we get a lot of abuse, and I mean, I get lots of very negative things said to me, and you just have to keep picking yourself up and sticking with what you know inside to be true. And so
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people saying to me that they're afraid to speak up, and I say you must speak up, even if people are going to laugh or say unkind things, because if you stay silent, then we're not going to educate people about what's actually going on, and we're not going to move forward, and the pain is going to be there for longer.
Mhm.
It's better to just move through it as quickly as we can, really, and to let as many people as we can know what's happening.
Absolutely.
So let me just see what we haven't covered. We've covered quite a lot of things already. Where would you, just before we finish, where would you suggest that people could perhaps buy Iraqi dinar or Vietnamese dong or the Zimbabwe zims? Is that, I mean, do you just go online to something called a currency exchange, or? How would
So,
you?
so because we're coming very close to the revaluations, lots of people, banks, currency exchanges, they're not selling them anymore. Again, because of the corruption. In
Right.
the UK, I don't know about abroad, but in the UK, I only know one company that does it, and that's ukdinarfx.com. It's in my intro, so when I
Yeah.
edit this video, you'll see it in the beginning, in my intro, and I will leave the link below in the description as
Yeah,
well.
that's a good idea. I think you should leave that link for people. And just before we finish off, can you explain what currency reevaluation actually means? Because some people won't necessarily understand what that means.
So currency revaluation usually means when the rate is increased, but in this case, it's going to be a bit different because the currency manipulators have kept their currencies very, very undervalued for corruption reasons. When those currency manipulators are lifted, their currencies and their currencies will then be backed up by gold and silver and oil and other factors like the manufacturers and their economy, etc. Their currencies will rise, and we will see the true value of their currencies, and it will be, they say it will be 1 for 1, but it won't be exactly 1 for 1. But when Donald Trump says 1 for 1, or people say 1 for 1, it will be within playing level field, so it'll be give or take 1 for 1. I mean, like the Kuwait dinar, for an example, it's about, the last time I looked, it was about £2.46 to buy 1 dinar, which is a lot stronger than the pound, because you need more
Yeah.
of those pounds to buy 1 dinar.
Yeah.
So they're going to go in level playing field. Apparently, Iraq's got a lot of oil. They've got so much gold, so it might even be stronger than the UK. We're going to see big historical changes we've never seen before, and we're living in a time of history.
So does that mean that if I have a note of some currency, say with its dinar or dong or zim, and on the note it says 250,000, does that mean that when I go down to do the reevaluation at, I imagine would be a bank or somewhere like that, they will give me, if it was 1 for 1, £250,000? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, but there will be a window. I know it sounds
And
unrealistic. It sounds like, because it's never happened before. This is called a wealth transfer. A wealth transfer has never ever happened in the history of humanity. So I say expect the unexpected. There's going to be a window, and there's going to be a condition, and the condition is that you will have to declare what you are going to do with that money, and it has to go to good causes. They want to make sure that this money doesn't fall into the hands of the corrupt.
okay. And how will we hear about this window, do you think? Will it be, I mean, I don't think it's going to be announced on the BBC, do you?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But I think it won't go on the BBC, but there will be, when you go and look for it, it will be available. I mean, personally, I think it's going to show up on the Forex. So you just
Okay.
look on the Forex, in my
So
opinion.
people like you that kind of specialize more in this area, you're going to be announcing on your channels and things like that what's happening. I would imagine
Yeah,
you're going to be.
probably I'll go crazy about it, and interview people about their humanitarian projects and what they're going to do. So it's going to be great. Yeah, I would definitely say
So
something.
everyone should really subscribe to your channel to make sure that they're kept up to date with the reevaluation date.
That would be really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I've covered everything that people were asking, but I just wanted to finish by saying that the thing that's very exciting about the whole Nasara Jasara is the humanitarian side of it, and how we're all moving towards working to help countries that are not so well off as us, how we're going to use our spare time and our extra resources to be kinder people and to start projects that help other people that are not as fortunate as us to have just a more stable and happy life, really. And I just wanted to finish with that.
Absolutely. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to see things that have never happened before. And this is why we see a lot of backlash from the mainstream media and corrupt politicians and fake news, because Donald Trump is doing amazing things behind the scene. He always says America's going to go first, which is Nasara, and then the other nations will follow, which is Jasara. And we are transitioning to greatness, like he says, and it's a great time.
I honestly am just, as I said, I wake up every day since this, well, I call it the pandemic, but since the virus all started, I've just felt so optimistic and just can't wait for all the great changes that are going to eventually be seen by everybody. And I have a very good feeling that it's all going on behind the scenes, because as a clairvoyant and somebody that channels information, the information that I've been getting is also backing everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
That there is this better, kinder world coming. And often when I channel things, I don't look up the information first. I just put that information out to my teachers and let them tell me what they think. And then I check back after with people like you. Because then you know that you're getting that information without any kind of distortion.
Absolutely. You get it
you
from several independent sources, and
yes,
you start to see what's happening with it. Because of the corruption, it's so hard to find the truth. It's very, propaganda is very easy. It's the first thing you see and people think it's the truth, but no, the truth takes a while to come out. It always does. But the truth will come out, and everyone's going to know about it, and it's great.
and so this is the same with the spiritual teachings, that if you speak to God or the angels or whoever has meaning for you, you don't have to be religious to be on a spiritual path. So once you understand that there's something greater than self, and you're willing to ask for help with your life, then a lot of this information will come to you through your dreams or your meditation or just your intuition. And this is where you then start to see where information on TV and in the world is not accurate, because you can now start to trust your inner guidance.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's definitely it gives you a sense of peace. You feel the warmth, you feel peace, you feel people's energies. You have a different intention. It's not about your ego. It's about, of course we're humans and we're not perfect. Of course we're going to have some kind of ego, but the main priority and purpose and path is about being happy with yourself from inside and helping others. And that feeling of rewardness that you get from helping people is great. It's godly, it's spiritual, it's loving, it's great. Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming onto my show. It's fantastic to have you on, and I had a great conversation with you.
Yes, thank you for inviting me today. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Well, let's do this again sometime soon, yeah?
Great. I'm sure there will be more questions when we put this video out. I'm sure that my community will then want to ask you more things, and especially as we're going forward.
Please do get some questions, and are willing to do another video when you're ready, and we can put that out there for them. I would love to help. And feel free to challenge me. Okay.
I will. This was just the first time, so I wanted it to not be too difficult for either of us.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, definitely. Well, it's lovely having you, and we'll speak very soon, okay?
Okay.
All right,
Take care.
take care. Bye-bye.